What's up, guys? It's Tucker here from S&S Smithing. Today, let's talk welders. Alright guys, this video I actually wanted to do a fabrication project and build a heavier duty guillotine tool for whenever I start making that hammer for our 500 subscriber challenge. So guys, remember, share it around, and we're doing a 250 subscriber challenge where I'm making a hammer eye punch, and I'm probably going to try to make a drift. If I can't get the materials for it, I'll just go ahead and probably order one. But I didn't have enough time today to do the fabrication project I had planned, so we're going to talk about my welder, do a little bit of a review, and upgrade our ground clamp a little bit here. So we're going to have to do a little alteration to our wire and everything to get it, but let's get started, guys. Alright guys, so let's get started with this ground clamp thing. The ground clamp that came with the welder, and I've had it for a while, it works, but it's not the best. It's pretty much basically a clamp for a jumper cable. It's made out of tin and doesn't have any copper or anything or brass in it, so it doesn't really work for the best ground clamp. But this one I got here is a solid brass clamp, holds real tight. The only thing is this little loop here needs to be tightened, but we can do that with pliers once we get everything done. But the only thing is this one has it hooked up here with this collar. This one doesn't need one of those, so we're gonna have to take that off and try to get that all to work and fit together nicely. Let's get started. Alright, our first step here will be taking the wire off this old ground clamp, using a spud wrench here just to get it loosened. There we go. Simple as that. Throw that off to the side now. But yeah, you see, with this lug on here, it doesn't quite fit into this one, so we're gonna have to remove that lug. Let's get started on figuring out how to do that. So guys, I know the best way to get this lug off, since it's pressure fit on, is would be to cut it off with the cables and everything completely, but I want to try to keep as much of the cable intact as possible. I don't want to cut back, so I want to try to figure out a way to just get this off. So I'm going to think about that for a second here and come right back. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and use the cold chisel here and just try to see if we can split it off. We got one side of it cut out. We're just going to go along the other edge here, cut out the middle, and then in theory everything should just lift right up. There we go. Got it. Alright, our wire, okay, our cable all here is still intact, so that's good. We got the lug off with the cold chisel, so that worked. We didn't have to cut the cable at all or anything. We can't use the lug for the new ground clamp anyways, so slide that one on in there, right like that. Cool. Everything fits up. Next thing all we gotta do really is put this in, tighten her down. Then, so let's loop this in here. Then we take our 5/8 wrench here, and tighten her down. She's tight. She ain't coming out of there. And there is the new ground clamp now. We just gotta fiddle with this a little bit. And I might just take the pliers and squeeze it tight. Alright. Alright, there's our new ground clamp. Cool, so this should work a lot better for everything I need to do. Alright guys, so that's how you put on the ground clamp for a welder. Just take the cable, either slide the lug over the bolt, if it's like that one whenever you first buy it, or how you upgrade a store-bought jumper cable, or basically a jumper cable clamp, to a nice solid brass clamp that holds tight. So that's how you do that. Now for the rest of the video, we're going to be doing a little talking about my welder, what it is, where I got it, how much it cost, do I think it's worth it for someone else to buy it or not. Kind of like a little review, and we might do a couple little test beads here or there. Alright guys, this is the HOBART Stickmate LX 235 AC and 160 DC stick welder. Alright, I picked this up from Tractor Supply. It cost me $530 flat. That was it. So I think for the price, it's a pretty good welder. I think it's a decent welder for anybody that needs to start out here. We can look up here. This switch is the on and off switch for it. Here we have our settings if we want to be on AC, DC positive, DC negative. Now we're not going to go into the points of why you need that right now, because this is just an overall little kind of review for the welder. So that's pretty cool. You can do AC or DC. And then down here on the bottom, this is how you control your amperage. It's a infinity control where you just turn it to get where you want. I like those a lot better than, say, like a dial like you got up top to go to the different voltages. So this way you can just fine tune it to where it's just right where you need it to be, which I think works really well. I enjoy it. You got your DC down here is the bottom white, and your AC is the orange and the black. So for the orange part here is your low current AC, and then the black here is your higher currents. And then over here, whenever you're hooking it up, it tells you which one is your ground or your work clamp down there, and then your electrode holder and your stinger plug goes in there. So it's rather simple to work. So I think it's pretty good welder working out. This is the same welder you guys have seen in other videos. And then up top here, if I can find it with the camera, there we go. We got a little chart that tells you best recommended settings for the amps for different electrodes, like 610, 6011, 6013s, 7014, 7018, 7024s, nickel rods, things like that. You go with the chart says the diameter of the electrodes, and then the amperage is here, and then where the little black squares are is your ideal positions. So that's cool. A lot of newer welders nowadays, they got those charts somewhere on them, be it like a MIG welder or flux core welder where you open up the panel to put on the wiring. It's usually up inside there. But a lot of if you buy an older welder out of a farm or something somewhere, they tend to not have that. So let's get you to a wide shot where you can see pretty much the overall welder. There we go. And you already seen the ground clamp that comes with it. And then this is the electrode holder. I like this one. A lot of people like giant bulky electrode holders. I don't mind these littler ones. I like them. They're pretty light, so you don't gotta worry about, like, if you're welding all day in an awkward position as your wrist or your arm cramping up. All you gotta do to hook these up is there's a screw right in there. You loosen it, and the cable comes out of the bottom here, and then you slide it back in and tighten the screw, and then that's how you hook these up. And now how you put an electrode in them is, here, let me just grab one of these little pieces of one here. So I like to save my little numbers in case if there's a lot of tacking I need to do, so that way I'm not wasting a bunch of a good electrode on one. So basically, and the electrode holder here has got the grooves in it. It's not just flat panels in it. So the grooves let you be able to put the electrode in different positions, like for vertical welding or things like that. And you have it horizontal, you have different angles, angled up or angled down, or have it in the horizontal down here. It's got all the different angles you can put on in it. See, the highest it goes to DC is 160. The highest it'll go with AC is 225. So it's a pretty decent sized welder for the money you're getting out of it. Whenever you have it completely cranked all the way up to 235, its duty cycle is about 2 minutes. Duty cycle is how much you can actually weld within a 10-minute period without overheating the welder. But as you go down in amperage, that goes up. So if you're running like on average settings for just minor things you might be doing in your house or your garage, it'll work fine. You don't really got to worry about that so much. So especially with a stick welder, because you got to chip off all the slag and wire brush and all that. So the duty cycle doesn't come into a problem so much with this versus a lot of the other like Tractor Supply welders or Harbor Freight. You pick it up, it's got really low duty cycle, so you can't even really weld one bead before you got to stop and let everything cool down. This is a 220 welder where you have to have it hooked up to a 220 outlet like your oven or your dryer. So if you plan on getting this, you need to get a hookup set up in like your garage or wherever you plan on having it hooked up at. But that's the main reason why it's got so much power versus one of those like little 115s or 110s you can buy from Harbor Freight. But and this one here, it's big enough that if you need to, you can get or if you want to, not say if you need to, but you can buy a TIG conversion kit, where really all it is like a brass little piece that you clamp into here, and you hook on the gas on one end, and then you hook up the stinger with the torch on the other end, and then it's like a scratch start. You just kind of start it, and then you can TIG with this too if you buy the set. I think the conversion kit for it's like a little over $100, so it's not too terribly bad. But that's without like the actual gas and everything for it. But I'm meaning to do that one of these times. But back to the review of the welder. It welds pretty good for the cost of the machine. I haven't really had any problems with it. Sometimes with certain electrodes, it'll be a bit tricky. Like that one day in the round. Alright, so how I get the leads out of the shed, since they're not really super long, I got a little slot made in the side of the shed here. It's all sealed up with caulking and everything so water can't get in. I just run the leads all through there, and then I hook them up to the welding table. For any of you guys wondering how that all works. Alright guys, just going to run a couple quick beads for you. I haven't really put on anything really besides my welding helmet for this. So we're running 6013s, DC positive at around 70 amps. Now 6013s tend to not want to start so good, so sometimes you just got to stick them to the piece and then let them warm up a little bit, and then they'll start getting you good beads. The piece I'm welding on, I didn't take the mill scale or anything off of. There's a little bit of rust on it, but for this purpose it'll work fine. Alright, so let's get you here to where you can see everything pretty good. There we go. Perfect. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, you guys seen that, so I'll chip off. Let's come over here. For the weld, didn't turn out too bad for the low amp that we're at right now, so let's find where. Okay, see, it didn't turn out too bad for 6013. That's running a little bit on the lower end of what this rod can go, so I started a little bit cold there on the end, you can tell, and then start going in pretty good. Alright, we can put in a couple more just so you guys can see. We might do one more positive and then switch it over to negative, because the one bead with DC negative, if it'll focus this time. We go. You see, it was a little cold there in the start. That's what I said about sometimes you gotta get these 6013s to warm up quite a bit before they actually go in pretty good. So we'll do one more, then we'll that one went in pretty good because it's nice and warm. So, alright, we'll stop there and let you guys know what I thought of it. Alright guys, we just did the welding with it, so here we go. See how you can see them. Alright, these top two here are the positive. So they didn't turn out too bad. The first one was a little cold. Then once the plate warmed up, it started going a lot better. So there we go. See, well, you can see them. And then these bottom two here are the negative. Which again, with 6013, you can run either or. So, alright guys. My thoughts on the welder from Tractor Supply is it's a good welder. The Stickmate XL from HOBART. It's a great little welder. Well, it's not little. It's decent sized welder for the money you can get it for. Again, it only cost $530 at Tractor Supply whenever I got it 2 years ago. I haven't had any issues with it. I recommend it to anybody out there looking for a decent stick welder. So yeah, today's video was supposed to be a fabrication project. So that's going to be what we're going to do for the next video. We're going to be building a heavier duty guillotine tool with like 1/2 inch thick dies and all that, so that way I can use it for the hammer video coming up at 500 subscribers, guys. So share it around. We're almost there. We're almost to the 250 challenge where we're making the tools for the hammer. So share it around, guys. We're almost at 250. And with a little bit of your guys' help, we can get there real fast. And then we're doing live streams now on Sunday evenings at 8 o'clock. So come check that out, guys. We've had a couple people already, like B&B and Grandpa's Forge were there last time, and Pickled Hammer Forge, I think you were. I don't remember. You all guys come stop by, check it out. We'll talk about what's going on with the channel and just in general. Yeah, guys, like always, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Alright, have a good evening, guys. Forge on.